Jamie, do you see anything other than an Arsenal win over Burnley tonight?
I think this would be maybe the biggest shock we've had in Premier League history.
Really?
I think if Burnley, well, certainly to win, if Burnley were to win, you wouldn't put it past them, in terms of maybe getting a point. Where we have strange results in the Premier League, but I don't think anybody is really expecting anything other than an Arsenal victory, and it's maybe more about how many they win by, and will that come into play in terms of goal difference or goals scored in terms of the Premier League title. If
you're an Arsenal player, look, the next week, 2 weeks couldn't just be season defining, they could be career defining, really. I know there's going to be nerves, there's going to be pressure, but as a player, this is what you live for, right?
Yeah, I keep hearing that saying, isn't it? Pressure is a privilege.
Yes.
So we're certainly in that position right now. So this could be the greatest 2 weeks of their careers, maybe of their careers full stop. Will they ever eclipse this in terms of winning a Premier League and a Champions League together in the same season? Or it could flip that coin and it could be a really very tough 2 weeks that they never forget for the rest of their careers, for the opposite reasons really as well. So that's what makes it exciting for everyone involved.
Been a good few days for Manchester City in the sense they've picked up another trophy, beating Chelsea in the FA Cup final on Saturday. It felt like a lot of the talk around the weekend was about Pep Guardiola's future. Do you believe he'll be at Manchester City next season?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it depends on whether they get across the line in the title. Does he go out as a winning the treble, domestic treble, I think for the second time? What a way to go out that would be. I think a few of his backroom staff have left, I think, or are leaving at the end of the season. So, yeah, I think it's a 50-50 one. I think it'd be a real loss for the Premier League if Pep Guardiola left. With my Liverpool hat on, I don't think it'd be the end of the world, but with me Sky Sports hat on, I think it'd be a big loss, obviously, because he's arguably the greatest manager of all time. And I think at the end of his career, wherever that may be, I think that's what we'll all be saying about him.
Manchester City take the Premier League title race to the final game of the season. Well, Pep Guardiola says they'll have to win at Bournemouth tomorrow night in order to do just that. City travel to the South Coast to face a team who haven't lost since January the 3rd and who are still chasing Champions League football.
Of course, it's better to travel to Bournemouth with the feeling that we won the FA Cup than that the opposite. But I think 16 or 70 games and unbeaten. So the run is unbelievable. So the season again with Iraola. So what they have done with losing 3 players in the back 4 for last season, have a success and still again do it. When you are in the Premier League, 60, 70 games without lose a game. And only chance we have is win a game. So we have to break that run, otherwise, it will be over. They played to qualify for the Champions League, so I think they have an argument to be the best version of the best performance of Bournemouth. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. And when you arrive in the last fixtures, when you play for something important, the opponent already don't play for anything, so it's easier. So that is not the case tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure 10 days just thinking on us. So now we start to think on them. So, but this is where it is. When the people say, play in the same conditions, never. In the teams we play in Europe, so on the last stages always you play in different conditions, but we are used to. It happened in Chelsea, have 1 week to prepare the final, we have 3 days to prepare the final, and tips and so on. But at the same time, well, prepare the best way, knowing exactly what you have to do. So it's not much complicated. So we have to win and try to, win the hopes for the last game at home against Aston Villa. So all we want is, with our people in the last game, to have the, to try to fight in the, extend these 4 or 5 days with Aston Villa, and exactly what you have to do is win Bournemouth.
Yeah, well, Pep Guardiola knows exactly what they need to do. And this is obviously assuming that Arsenal win tonight as well, isn't it, at home to Burnley. But how tough a test will Bournemouth be?
Oh, tough. Bournemouth are outstanding. Areola's done a fantastic job. I bet Bournemouth fans are disappointed that he's leaving. They've got a chance of making it into the Champions League if, obviously, Aston Villa finish 5th and win the Europa League. That 6th spot becomes available. And it's a big game for Bournemouth. Outstanding. What a season it's been. It's hard to go to Bournemouth and get a result. As you've seen, many teams that have slipped up there this season as well, and they play attacking football. No pressure on Bournemouth. No one expected Bournemouth to be in this position. towards the end of the season, having a chance of fighting in the European places. So they've got freedom, and that's when probably they're most dangerous when they're playing with freedom at the moment. So yeah, big game for Man City. Kind of one where you're looking at it, where the two games where I looked at like they could be a banana skin for them was the Everton game, which they dropped, and it could be this one, the Bournemouth one. But I think Pep will want to take it to the last game of the season.
This is it. They don't need any motivation, do they, to do that? They want it to go to the last day of the season. Yeah,
you've seen against Crystal Palace he made changes, but the reason he made changes is because he had a big FA Cup final game against Chelsea on the weekend. So I think he'll play his strongest team, which we don't know at the moment what his strongest team is because there's been a few changes. Mamouche came in on the weekend and Cherki was on the bench, but I think if Cherki's fit, you kind of can pick the best 11 that he's going to play with Rodri coming back into the team. It's a massive game for Man City because then we know Arsenal are going to win this evening. Well, we think Arsenal are going to win. Everyone thinks Arsenal are going to win. Then it'll be over to Man City tomorrow and then it can take it to the last game of the season.
What about Pep Guardiola's future then? Because it seems there is so much talk about it at the moment. He, didn't really address anything when he was asked about it on the weekend. You heard me talking to Jamie Carragher earlier, asking him if he thinks he'll be at the club next season. He actually said, look, I really don't know. Yeah, where do you stand on it?
No, I don't know, but I want Pep to be at the club. But listen, when you come into the media and you see watch managers like this, Pep Guardiola, he's the best. That's what you want to do. You like to see his interviews. I like him when sometimes he's frustrated in his interviews and how his teams play football. You want to see the best manager in the Premier League. This is our league. It's the best league in the world. You want to see him. You don't want Pep Guardiola to be leaving there. So I hope he stays at Man City, at least for another year, because he's still got a year on his contract, I think. So hopefully he does stay at Man City. But you know when you hear all sorts of rumours, there's always truth to a rumour, isn't it, about something, if something's going to happen. Hopefully this rumour is not true that Pep does leave in the summer because, as I say, you want to see the best managers in the Premier League.
And the bit added on to that rumour is Enzo Maresca could take over.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me because the way he left Chelsea and stuff, because I thought it was strange the way he left Chelsea because I thought he was doing a good job at Chelsea and you see they've struggled this season since he's left the football club. But it wouldn't surprise me where Pep and Enzo Maresca have a good connection and Pep might have said to him, you know what, I'm possibly leaving in the summer. The job will be yours because Pep would have a big say of who should come into that football club even though he's departing the football club. But hopefully it doesn't happen, but it could possibly happen. But whatever happens, he's a legend of a manager and he's been brilliant for the Premier League.
Just lastly then, but before we move on from Manchester City, how do you look at their season? Because I think for any normal club, a couple of cups, a couple of trophies is pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And if they win those and finish second...
It's a good... You know what? It's not as good as
Pep Guardiola.
That's what I'm saying. It's not Pep. But if he went on and won the Premier League, I think that would be his best achievement from where they are now to go on and win the Premier League from where they look cut adrift and where they were a few months ago when it was 9 points and it could have been 12 points if Arsenal had won that game. So, yeah, listen... He'd still say we've won 2 trophies. You ask any club and they've gone and won 2 trophies, it's a successful season. But because it's Man City, everyone thinks they should win the Premier League. I still think it's been a good season for Man City if they just miss out by finish second because you've got to give credit to Arsenal who've been outstanding. And it's a transition season as well. They brought in a lot of new players. A lot of experienced players have left, like of Kevin De Bruyne. They're going to lose players again in the summer, Bernardo Silva and John Stones. So rebuilding at Man City, but yeah, he's been brilliant, to be fair. And I still think it's a successful season. Winning 2 trophies, can't turn your nose up at that, Emma. No chance.
Arsenal can put themselves on the brink of a first title in 22 years tonight if they beat Burnley at home. They'll go 5 points clear of Manchester City, which means Pep Guardiola's side would have to win tomorrow away at Bournemouth or hand Arsenal the title. Tonight's game, Tim, anything other than Arsenal win, can you see?
No. I just think you've got 2 games to win the Premier League. Burnley have already been relegated, no manager, and you go away to Selhurst Park, which is a difficult place to play, but Europa League conference final 3 days later. Surely Oliver Glasner has to look after his own team. He can't worry about Man City, he can't worry about Arsenal. He's got to look after Crystal Palace. So for me, he plays a weakened side in that game, and it gives the title to Arsenal. But not just that game, they have to win it over the period of the season, and they've been the best team.
Just in case things don't go well against Crystal Palace, would you be saying to the Arsenal players, boost your goal difference tonight at home to Burnley, which can, of course, be a risk?
Well, I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't do that. I mean, as soon as they score the first goal, If you have to guess the way Burnley are going to play, they're going to go there, put everyone behind the ball and try and make it difficult, because otherwise it could be embarrassing for them. But as soon as Arsenal score, they have to come out and try something different, unless they play damage limitation. I'm not sure why they would do that. I mean, some of these boys might want to express themselves to stay in the Premier League, because there are a lot of scouts who'll be watching relegated teams just to go and handpick for their side. So there'll be people watching them today. The whole world is watching this game of football. Arsenal are expected to win, but sometimes that's the harder games, you know, when the pressure's on you. The fans, certainly the Arsenal fans, expect them to win, but the whole footballing world expects them to win this game comfortably tonight. And once you go ahead, why don't you just keep pushing forward to score more goals? But we saw what Wolves did. Wolves were pretty much relegated when they went to the Emirates. And you see what happened there, you know, 2-0 up, come back 2-2. It's a funny old game.
I remember when Liverpool were looking for goal difference, they were 3-0 up away at Palace and ended up drawing 3-3, didn't they?
Yeah.
Under Brendan Rodgers. Let's say that Burnley, their game plan works and it gets the 80th minute. What's that like as an Arsenal player, the team trying to win the title, if it's 0-0 with 10 minutes to go against a team you should be beating?
I mean, the stock answer is, well, you just continue doing what you're doing, you know, play your game, trust the process. But the actual reason is panic stations. Oh, my goodness, load the ball into the box, try and get... They need to play like that. Like you're saying there, Tom, they need to play like that from the first whistle. If they do that, they play with intensity, they load it onto the back players of Burnley, who are not great, let's be honest, then they will win this game comfortably. But if they sit back and they try this possession game and it gets boring and ponderous, and later on in the game, the more anxiety breathes to the pitch, then it becomes difficult. If you're in the Burnley dressing room, you're saying, keep this going deep, keep into the game. 1-0 down, they're still in the game. You never know from a set piece. But Arsenal have to come flat out on the front foot and try and blow Burnley away, and they're capable of doing it.
Do you think it will go to the final day?
Yes.
Yeah, so you think that Arsenal and Manchester City will win?
Yes.
Against Bournemouth. OK, well, that's what we want as neutrals.
Alan Irwin was speaking to Guardiola earlier. Alan, good to see you again. Look, how did Pep seem today?
Yeah, thanks, Bella. You're dead right about the speculation that's been rife all season regarding Pep Guardiola's future, but he's quite prepared to shut that out completely today. He didn't want to talk about that one iota, his focus being solely on Bournemouth tomorrow night. And he knows how difficult a task that will be, given that Bournemouth, on the back of a 16-match unbeaten run, it's going to be a tough one for Manchester City.
Different competitions, but of course it's better to travel to Bournemouth with, you know, the feeling that we won the FA Cup than that the opposite, but there's different competition. So Bournemouth, 60, I think 16 or 70 games, and you know, unbeaten. So the run is unbelievable. So the season again with Iraola, so what they have done. When you are in the Premier League, 60, 70 games without lose a game, and only chance we have is win a game. So we have to break that run, otherwise, yeah, we'll be over. Important drive at the end with options. All we want is with our people in the last game to have the, you know, to try to fight in the extend these 4 or 5 days with Aston Villa, and you know exactly what you have to do is win Bournemouth.
OK, so he's focused on Bournemouth tomorrow. But as we've just heard from Dharmesh, who's at the Emirates just now, the state of play in the Premier League title race depends on tonight's game, doesn't it?
Yeah, Pep is very much aware of that. He knows it is one of those must-win games. We say it so often in the Premier League, but this is exactly that for Manchester City. And on the back of a domestic cup double as well, they head into the game in fine form. Can their Lancashire neighbours, Burnley, just up the road from here, do them a favour? It seems rather improbable, given that they've already been relegated, but you just never know. Pep, of course, will be watching, or will he?
Will you get a chance to watch the game tonight?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, we'll take a look for sure, but still in 3 days I have to... The job against Bournemouth to see what I have to show to the players still is not done, so I don't know, half time. We'll see.
A lot of people write off Burnley, but have you any motivation or any thoughts on what they can do tonight to do you a big favour ahead of your matches?
Here in England, the teams always do the best. You know, look for example, Leeds is already safe, and and playing against Spurs away and behave incredible and take a draw. Brighton is playing for even competition. Yesterday they beat him. So here in England, all the teams, they do their best to win. In that sense, always is so loyal. So I don't have any doubt they would try. So no doubts.
The FA Cup final match winner Antoine Semenyo goes back to his former club. He'll be hoping to produce the goods and maybe finally dent their Champions League ambitions. That's Bournemouth, of course. They still have high hopes of making a Champions League qualification place. For the good news for Manchester City is, and for Pep Guardiola, he's finally got a fully fit squad to choose from. Should be an absolute cracker tomorrow night. It's live, of course, on Sky Sports.
Of course. Alan, thank you.